Hi, thanks for popping in today and listening to what I have to say about how to spend your summer. So, first of all, it's sort of odd that I'm talking about this in December, depending on when you're picking this up to watch it. I'm recording this in the beginning of December. I'm actually currently in upstate New York where we just had 8 inches of snow. So it's hard to imagine that summer is even something that we should be thinking about. However, for teenagers and their parents who are planning ahead, it is not actually too early to start thinking about how students and families are going to spend their summer time away from school. I get asked a lot about this every year, especially more so starting in January when we're back after the holidays. But a lot of families are wondering what are meaningful activities that students should be engaged in during the summertime. And first and foremost, my favorite answer is it really doesn't matter as long as they're doing something, whatever that means, and it means something different for every single person. And let me just go ahead and cut right to the chase. There is no magic trick to this. There is no magic one particular program that is going to change the entire trajectory of the college admissions process. We need to reframe how we're thinking about summer activities, probably all activities in general, but we're going to focus on summer for the sake of this conversation. But I think that when I'm asked that question a lot of times about how should we plan for summer, it is from the standpoint of there must be something really important or special that my son or daughter could do that is going to increase their chances of admission in this process. Don't get me wrong, there may very well, in fact, there are some programs and some activities that are going to set students apart. There is no doubt about that. But when I talk about reframing this, the way I want parents and adults in this process with the students to think about it is this should be about enriching their experience. So, for example, I was talking with a student last night about how he has interest in both pre-med and business. However, he's leaning much more toward business at this stage of the game. So I started talking to him about what are you going to do this summer? How are we going to help you figure out a little bit more about where your interests lie? So we started brainstorming and talking through things, and we came up with ideas that we're going to try to put into place, such as shadowing somebody through parents' connections. He's going to work on trying to find somebody who does investment banking or financial planning or some things like that, to the extent that they can allow a 16-year-old student to come on board and shadow. We're going to work on that idea. He's also looking at a program at a university that would be a week-long program in business so that he could have some exposure to what that particular university is sort of focused on. And he asked in that conversation, is it going to make a difference and help me get into this particular university? And I said, no, actually, it is not. What all of this is going to do, however, is help you better discern, do you like the path of business or not? And business may be not even a great example because it's so broad. What are we even talking about under the umbrella of business? Shadowing wise, he did talk about investment banking, financial planning, those kinds of things. But back to the real point here. The point of doing something like these activities in the summer, quite frankly, anytime, is that it helps students really better articulate where their interests lie. And that's a huge win for this process of applying to colleges. So think of it this way. A college may ask a student to indicate is the wrong word, to indicate what major they're interested in pursuing at the time that they're applying. So this is very early in the process. Many of them will change their minds, but let's just say for the sake of applying, same student I was talking to last night decides he's going to select business as the intended major when he applies to XYZ school. So the follow-up question is sometimes then, why did you choose that particular major? And students who can point to actual experiences that help them really understand what it means to even study business or pre-med or engineering or construction management, things like that. I mean, pick something anything out of the air that you can think about. If it's something like more of a traditional academic major like history or English, sometimes that is simply just the coursework that they've taken that helps them be able to say, this is why I'm choosing this, because I've really enjoyed my AP Literature course. But when it comes to something a little more specific and a little more professional oriented right from the beginning, it is sometimes better, oftentimes better, for a student to be able to say, I realized after doing this 1 week shadow experience that I am really intrigued by financial planning and need to understand and learn more about what goes into all of that, but this is what sparked that interest. So it adds some evidence, if you will, to the response about why this particular major. It gives them something to talk about that is real, that is a true experience they've had, that allows them to, again, better articulate their own interests in that process. So, again, does that mean it's going to make a difference in terms of admission to this university? Maybe not because of what's on the resume, but maybe because of what they can say when they answer those kinds of questions. So those are things to keep in mind. So again, trying to get families to reframe the whole idea of what is the best thing to do in the summer. And again, it could apply to any activities, but for summer specifically, because you have a longer window of time. There are so many programs out there that students can sign up for. They can go all over the world. They can do all kinds of things. And again, all of them have value. But don't go into it thinking this thing that this student is doing is going to be what tips the scale in their favor in terms of it. Again, think of it more as how are they going to grow? What skills are they going to learn? What are they going to be able to walk away knowing more about because of that experience? They could have a summer job and learn a whole bunch about themselves and about how to interact with other people, about responsibility, all sorts of things. So again, there is value in any particular way they spend their time in the summer so that it is adding value to who they are in this whole process. So again, no magic formula. If you stick around long enough, you'll hear me say that about so many things in college admissions. But when we're thinking about summertime, try to think about ways that are going to just be enriching. Not ways. Think about programs or ways to spend time that are going to be enriching. And let me real quick say, when it comes to programs, they don't need to be thousands and thousands of dollars to be worthwhile. And in fact, I think a lot of times those types of programs are often seen by college admissions folks as, well, you had the money to be able to afford to do this particular thing. Great. So again, it's great that you did it, but the bottom line is, what did the student learn and how can they articulate that back to the admissions folks in this process? So again, I'm not even saying that these most expensive ones are bad. I'm just saying it's what kind of growth and maturity and self-awareness that the student can garner from it that's more important than what the actual activity is. So I may have rambled on a little bit. This was one of those where it just kind of struck me last night when I was talking to this particular student, and I thought I need to talk to people about this because it really needs to be a refocus and a reframing and thinking of it, not so much as what it is specifically they're doing, but how are they going to learn and grow from it. If you have questions, I'd love to talk to you more about it. Hope you're having a great day, and thanks for listening in. We'll talk to you soon.